Thanks for joining us for episode 17 as we dive into election issues. Today we're going to jump into one of the most contentious topics of this election, abortion. Let's begin our conversation about abortion by just reviewing where we are at as a nation in regards to this topic. On June 24, 2022, in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned 50 years of precedent, overruling Roe v. Wade. In the year following that decision, the pace of new legislation on abortion has been swift. And this is from AmericanProgress.org. They go on to say, as of publication, 14 states have near total abortion bans during any point in pregnancy in effect, and 6 states have implemented abortion bans, with other limits from 6 to 20 weeks after a person's last menstrual period. Now, just based on that last sentence alone, you can tell that this is a liberal-leaning article, since they said a person's last menstrual period instead of a mother's last menstrual period. But they're basically making the point that because this court decision has been overturned, states are now making limits on abortion. In the opinion of the writers of the article, they didn't like this. I very much do like that abortion bans are now able to be put in place, and states are able to restrict abortions and protect more babies. The power to restrict abortion has gone back to the states. Some people love this and some do not, but that is where we are at. While this decision is a good thing, we can see that the majority of states have not implemented these restrictions on abortion. So in most states, a mother can still choose to end the life of the child in the womb at her own discretion. What many people fail to realize are the great evils in the abortion industry. The left has done a great job as far as propaganda goes in terms of abortion at reframing this issue and using different terms, making it about women's health, making it about reproductive rights, making it about choices, when what's really happening is that there is a child in the womb whose life is being ended. The conversation becomes about a mother who has health complications and has all these reasons why the pregnancy would be difficult, or sometimes they make it seem like you need to be compassionate toward a sexual assault victim, and if you're compassionate, then you should allow abortion. Keep in mind that when we discuss abortion, we are referring to ending the life of a child, not to any medical procedure for a child who has already died. A child may need to be delivered early for various reasons, but the medical professionals and parents should always do their best to keep the child alive, not end the life of the child for their own personal or financial interests. Abortion is the industry that allows sexual assault to be pervasive. It is far easier to get away with sexually assaulting someone if you destroy the evidence of the assault. There is video evidence of Planned Parenthood doing just that. The abortion industry does not benefit a woman's health. Planned Parenthood often claims to provide many services, but they only offer abortion to women, whereas pregnancy care centers actually have resources to help parents get a good start, even for an unexpected pregnancy, or to connect women with adoption agencies. So when we're talking about giving options, giving hope, giving choice, that's the work of pregnancy care centers. What they're doing is trying to provide assistance, trying to help families get started, trying to help people who are in a broken situation get what they need so that they can get their family off to a good start. Whereas the abortion industry is covering up evil and propagating more evil with their actions. So let's see where the candidates stand on this issue. Let's begin with Harris. The Harris Waltz ticket is the most pro-abortion ticket imaginable. The DNC offered abortions to people who attended the convention this year.
It's having a controversial increased presence in Chicago this week, offering free abortions and vasectomies just blocks away from the DNC.
That Planned Parenthood mobile clinic is just outside of the convention. It is offering free abortions, free vasectomies, and free contraception. And apparently the services are so popular that they've got all their appointments booked up, and there is a wait list. And in fact, they are now accepting walk-ins, according to doctors that spoke to Fox. There's also a 20-foot inflatable IUD named Frida That's also here in Chicago, courtesy of Americans for Contraception, who fear birth control will be restricted by Republicans. A doctor who performed 10 medication abortions in the mobile clinic today insists that Planned Parenthood is not trying to send a political message by being parked outside of the Democratic National Convention.
Harris often touts how Roe v. Wade must be reinstated, even though as president she would have no right to do that. And Waltz has been criticized for his extreme views on abortion. In this AP News article, we can see just how extreme his views are. Waltz signed legislation to guarantee the right to have an abortion in the state of Minnesota without even requiring the doctor to preserve the life of a child who survived an abortion. Most people do not realize how extreme these views are because they are often played down. The Harris-Waltz administration do not just allow abortion in some cases, but celebrate and adore abortion.
It's a privilege to be standing here amongst these incredible servant leaders who carried out the will of the people of Minnesota. And the message that we're sending to Minnesota today is very clear. Your rights are protected in this state. You have the right to make your own decisions about your health, your family, and your life. So to Minnesotans, know that your access to reproductive health and your right to make your own healthcare decisions are preserved and protected. And just as a notice is, no one here will stop fighting. No one's under the illusion that those that wish to take that bodily autonomy away will stop.
Prison for life for healthcare providers for simply providing reproductive care, the care they so earnestly and rightly believe must be delivered. Thank everybody here for being here, standing in solidarity around the importance of that.
Trump, on the other hand, does not celebrate abortion. He does, however, still believe abortion should be allowed in some cases. He often states that the exceptions are important to him, meaning exceptions for the life of the mother, for rape, and for incest. Trump received criticism on both sides. The pro-choice side wants Roe v. Wade, so they criticize Trump for taking away the right to an abortion. The pro-life side will criticize Trump for supporting some abortions and for being unwilling to sign a national abortion ban. So what are we to do with these positions? Well, what are our goals as Christian conservative voters? Will we only vote for candidates that will accomplish everything we want accomplished? Or are we willing to put in the work ourselves? In the end, there is only one administration that will allow you to advocate for life. That is the Trump administration. The one possibility people don't seem to consider is that Trump is actually genuine in his convictions. People say he's trying to pull more votes from the left, so he says he supports abortion. I believe that Trump actually does believe abortion should be allowed in some cases. I don't think his statements are purely political. I completely disagree with him, but the beautiful thing is that under his administration, I would be allowed to completely disagree with him. Trump does not support censorship or fear misinformation. Harris and Waltz, on the other hand, don't like anyone spouting misinformation. There was a case in New York where pregnancy centers were sued simply for telling women about abortion pill reversals. Now, the candidates didn't actually make a speech or take a specific stand on this issue, to my knowledge. But based on other statements they have made, I think it is safe to say that Harris-Waltz would have wanted abortion pill reversals suppressed, whereas Trump would want pregnancy care centers to thrive and be able to spread this message. People often focus on the purity of the pro-life stance. Yes, it would be great if our candidates all advocated for life. They don't, and we have to accept that reality. So the question becomes, who will allow you to advocate for life? I am planning to spend a morning as a sidewalk counselor outside of an abortion clinic. This means talking to women who are considering abortion and seeing if they would be willing to consider keeping the life of their child. If Harris is elected, would I be able to do this? Already there are states where people are arrested for similar acts. The presidency doesn't have power over everything, but they do appoint people to many, many positions. There are many people who make the claim that a Christian cannot vote for anyone evil. They compare voting for Trump to voting for Baal or some other false god worshipped in the Old Testament. I believe voting for Trump is more like voting for Amariah, Azariah, or Jotham, kings of Judah. Interestingly, for all three kings, the Bible states that their mothers were from Jerusalem. And it says something similar to this. So this is from 2 Kings 15. This one's about Jotham. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 16 years. His mother's name was Jerusha, daughter of Zadok. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father Uzziah had done. The high places, however, were not removed. The people continued to offer sacrifices and burn incense there. Admittedly, this is not the vote for King David that people want to believe they can do. However, Trump is standing in opposition to much evil in our world. So I do find it interesting that in many of these passages in Kings, they will mention the mothers. They'll mention where they're from. In this case, we see that the mother has descendants who were priests, so she's from Jerusalem, and she holds those values of worshiping God. And so her son, likewise, walked out those values. And I think it's interesting, I found this piece about President Trump's mother from Focus on the Family. It states, back home in Queens, Mary Trump made sure faith was part of everyday life, with the family attending services and Sunday school at the First Presbyterian Church of Jamaica. Prior to winning the presidency in 2016, Donald Trump would write, "My religious values were instilled in me by my mother." But later acknowledging in an interview, "The values she gave to me were strong values. I wish I could have picked up all of them, but I didn't, obviously." Make of this what you will, but I will just say this. Trump is not perfect. No candidate ever is. He didn't pick up all of the values that even he wants to have. But even so, there is a clear distinction between one vote which actively celebrates evil and another which allows the citizens to advocate for good. What will you decide? During this election cycle, we focus a lot on the presidential candidates because it is obviously an important decision. The president has huge impact in the world, in the nation, in the people that they appoint. There are so many ways that the president influences our nation. But there are many other decisions being made during this election cycle as well. There are other candidates to vote for, and there are also amendments coming up. In this particular cycle in Florida, we have Amendment 4 on the ballot. Amendment 4 wants it to be a constitutional right for women to be able to have an abortion, which will strip away the ability to restrict abortion and to save lives. So we need to ensure that we're not only focused on presidential candidates, but also communicating about the amendments going on in our states. We want to vote no on Amendment 4. We want to make sure other people are aware of the issues going on so that they can also vote accordingly. Often the amendments are worded in ways that are unclear, or people are just confused on what's the proper way to vote. So it's important to communicate about these ideas in advance. Remember, being pro-life isn't just about voting. There are many other things that you can do to support life. I'm sure there are pregnancy care centers near you, and you can get involved in the work that they do. See what time you can contribute or what money you can contribute to their efforts as they're talking to mothers and trying to help them make the right decision for their family and preserve the life of their child. But life matters more than just during election season. So it's very important that we get out and vote, that we support strong policies that will protect innocent life. But it's important that we're also protecting life ourselves. Don't just wait for candidates to fix all of the issues. Use your own feet, use your own mind, and use your own mouth to help people support life in your community. Thanks for joining us as we talked about this contentious issue of abortion. There's a big divide as far as pro-life and pro-choice goes, but there's also a big divide amongst people who are pro-life about whether or not they should vote. I would strongly encourage everyone listening to vote for the candidate that allows you to advocate for life. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about this conversation, so please comment or message or get connected with us on social media. And remember to live in truth.